funniest shit ever. That's your neighbor peeking over the fence.
No, it is not. It is your neighbor's drone.
Yeah, your neighbor's drone.
In your yard.
Your house. Yeah.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Right. Filled with the pinata of the next COVID.
Right. I mean, what are they doing? Flying.
It's not like that. It's not like that. In the world of flying things, sometimes things go off course. You see what I'm saying? Especially spy stuff.
You think that's all it was? It went off course? That it just magically happened to go near all the military bases?
Don't say magically. I say wind.
The wind got it?
Well, I'm saying,
bro, they just flew those things over and they hoped that Biden didn't notice. They said they flew over during Trump's administration too, but they didn't tell him because they didn't want him to shoot him down.
Neither of those stories is true. That information was out there. Right.
Another one, yeah.
So this was a hobbyist.
Oh.
So this doesn't count. This doesn't count. And the way that you know immediately is it says over Utah. Like, that would be where.
That's like White Sands, right? No, that's New Mexico, isn't it? There's got to be military bases in Utah, right?
Well, I'm saying in the map wise.
Oh, that's what this one is? This is the one from February 2023. That's the one they shot down. Look at that. So it's just a balloon with solar power and some kind of camera. How weird.
Not weird. Not weird.
Well, not weird if you just think about human patterns. You gotta see what the enemy's up to. Just fly over, take some pictures. What the fuck is going on with these people?
I'm saying we can say whatever we want, but we're civilized and maybe they're not civilized. So if you weren't civilized, then maybe part of your job is airborne weapon. Yeah. So you gotta test it out. You gotta see what it can do. And they're gonna go off course. Okay.
Well, that's not an airborne weapon, but we have a lot of it.
Information is.
That's true. Information's weapon.
Information.
Yeah.
Just knowing what the conversations are over this wide swath. Because at the end of all these information driven society places is analytics, and that's what this is.
No, that's all right. We'll be fine. I just wonder where it's all headed, because it seems like we're building towards an event. I think about it all the time. It seems like it's not.
It's time to get a bunker.
It seems like it might be a good time to get a bunker, or at least a supply of water.
Well, here's the thing. If you follow what becomes accessible, that's how you can generally see where things are going. You know? And so that's the true magicalness of Elon Musk. Just take that guy out of the story and just tell that story. And
yeah. Yeah, he's moving us into so many different directions all at the same time. The electric car thing, the internet satellite thing, and now this Neuralink thing. The Neuralink thing is the craziest one.
Because all of these things are connected in these higher upper echelon conversations. I'm saying you see the same conversation with Tesla or Da Vinci or like information is what is limited, and whole industries can be built upon your ability to know how certain things are going to hit certain people. And this was before we called things promotion and marketing. You know what I mean? That's Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that happens, but propaganda is something that
have to get the wheat. And if you want to be able to make movies about certain subjects, you have to be willing to work with some people. And it would be nice if you made it so that this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is showing the negative side of this other society, and this is our hero. Because our hero is going to go do America's bidding and go over there, and you're like, okay. And those movies are successful, and so they continue this relationship, and become a bit of a propaganda arm for the government. And in turn, they don't fuck with you.
Right. But that's what makes information so powerful is you don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood that things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. And so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things will become popular in the future. And that somehow calling people to goat would be normalized over the sheep being always the most popular reference.
God damn, we got some good weed, Cat.
Jesus. It just must be the weed.
I'm trying to figure out how to jump in on that.
Which is my only goal.
I always wonder whether or not all the stories in the Bible, it's just where we are experiencing it. Like the mark of the beast thing that we were talking about earlier. If that is not, I think, if you had to tell a story for so many years,
yeah,
before anybody ever even figured out how to write it down, and you're telling a story about a civilization that allowed people to put brain implants in them, then all of a sudden the brain implants were hijacked by machines, and people became just meat zombies, controlled by corporations. That would be the mark of the beast. That would be a demonic thing. If a demon tricked human beings into wearing a hat that turned you into a zombie, that demon would be like a famous character in books and folklore. But that demon exists, and it's just technology. It just shows itself through this desire for the newest, latest creative innovations that are going to constantly fuel it becoming more and more powerful. Until one day it tricks you into letting it into its head, like a vampire. Like the vampire stories, you didn't let them in, remember? That was the thing. You had to invite them in. And if you invited them in, you're fucked. But if you didn't invite them in, for some reason they weren't allowed to kill you. It's almost like the story
that you have to be able to benefit from the zombie. Like, there's no benefit in that taken out of context. Like, if you're making them zombies so that they can mine for you, then there's a story of that over there. Like, that's the whole thing, is when you look at these ancient writings, they're not saying like, Yeah, so he was from another world, and we had to bring him our kids, and he would eat them in front of us. And like, they're not telling those stories. They're saying like agriculture and
Knowledge,
literature and
cosmology,
right.
explain the origin of life. Yeah,
Like
show the double helix DNA
to a fault.
Yeah,
Nobody's saying anything outside of mathematic parameters.
well, the wildest stuff is when you look at some of those old Sumerian tablets and you see how they have the solar system mapped out. They had the sun in the center, looked just like a sun with little marks around it. It had Venus where it should be, Jupiter where it should be, Uranus where it should be. They were all in the right spots. It's crazy. Like
the Ethiopian tribe had the same.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, no,
crazy.
It's not. Yeah, but there is no craziness. Everything lines up. The same grids.
Look at that. That's just nuts, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the conventional explanation for that is. Is that Zechariah Sitchin guy who said all this stuff, he was often criticized. That people said that he took things too far, that his analysis went too far, he just went into speculation. People have tales. Have you seen those? It looks like genetic engineering.
Maybe it's a tail, maybe it's piping. What?
Jesus, right? Piping.
You understand what I'm?
Oh yeah.
What I'm saying is nobody's telling these outlandish.
Right. Where they're all kind of all saying the same thing. There's some higher power that comes and gives you structure, tells you what to do and how to live. And every society.
Information. That's what they give you.
They give you information. Yeah.
Every story, every civilization, every time.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. And that's what we're all thirsty for.
Right.
You know? And
we're thirsty to monetize.
That's too. But also humans individually are thirsty for information. We always want information. We want gossip, we want news, we want bullshit, we want science. Especially if you have an appetite for, things that make you think. There's so much information that people are just constantly consuming. There's bullshit information like TikTok and nonsense that just passes you by. But there's still...
but none of that stuff is nonsense.
Well, it's not all nonsense. What it is
it's just another
something
offshoot
to get your attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what all of this is about. From the Roman Colosseums to... it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Roman
King Arthur's court time, like
that's the first viral videos, right?
Right. Like
they would tell viral stories.
Yeah, this is all about this experience of being a human being in this amount of time.
Yeah,
and interaction between other people who have done this thing you're doing.
Yeah, and in the middle of you doing it, you realize you only have a certain amount of time. And you're like, God damn it, I'm just starting to figure this game out.
Right, so understand I was probably like 5 years old when I had that moment. So I lucked out because it happened to me so early. But it wasn't about I got that part. So I thought at like that age, I was thinking, okay, so I don't know how long I'm gonna live because I'm kind of conflicted about how long people live. 100's a good number, but there's been people at 600. Seems like this, but I'm just gonna space it out 7 years at a time. So every 7 years, that's gonna be a life, so I don't waste anything. So I couldn't wait till I got 7 because that was going to be the start of my first life.
Why'd you bring it in 7s? Just randomly?
I don't know what randomly means. It's a seldom seen thing in the universe. Random.
good number? Was it instinctual or was it
to people around the globe?
7? Yeah,
It's great.
it's a lucky number. That's why I asked.
Yeah, well, I'm saying not for no reason. I'm saying if you like math, I'm saying it's a great number. That's how you know that the pyramids are about something because of what they represent mathematically. That level of mathematical information is another step in civilization.
Yeah, the idea that was just by accident, like when they
trigonometry is not by accident.
Also, that they figured out like there's some measurement. I don't want to bore anybody with the details because I'll butcher it too. But it's the measurements of the height and width and the mass of the pyramid in comparison to the circumference of Earth. It's like they knew so much about like where constellations would be at certain times of the year, like in the summer solstice. It's just wild shit, man.
Right, but
all in stone.
But not that wild though, because we know that if you were traveling, that buoys are out there, and they're out there for certain reasons. And
right.
We understand satellite positioning, and no, it makes perfect sense.
Imagine that's the pyramids were. That was the ultimate buoy. That was home base.
Well, I'm saying it's not different than how we would treat a planet that we had not been to before.
No, not at all. Not different at all.
I mean, we would locate where's the best place to land, where is the most hospitable of this place, and we would put something there.
And let's imagine that we landed somewhere, and we found this lush, green, vibrant planet, and we found those hobbit people. And those are the most advanced people. Those Homo floresiensis, is that what it is? Floresiensis. So this creature, this 3-foot-tall human, imagine if we found them. I guarantee you someone would want to introduce them to tools, introduce them to how to make fire, introduce them to figure out language, try to transfer their language to our language, try to teach them our stuff, try to genetically engineer them and turn them into something different. If we have the tools that we have now, like CRISPR, and we found some primitive apes, and there was like a massive population of Australopithecus on a planet, and we said, look, they're on the way.
Right.
Let's just give them a little boost. Just give them a little boost.
Right.
And that's what
but not too much.
Not too much.
And that's what you see with all of the UFO stories is they keep popping up in these times when we as a civilization are getting ready to F it up in real time.
In real time. Yeah. You know, that's like my comedy club. That's why I named the rooms. I named the rooms Fat Man and Little Boy. Oh. Because the UFO started coming after the big bombs. That's when they really started like ramping up their presence. Like if you look at all the reports, the flying saucer reports, they're all like 1947, 1950, 1952.
If you cross-engineer our shit, it's going to show up on our radar at some point. Like this information is...
Especially when we're using that information very recklessly. Wild.
Even in the Bible story, the Tower of Babel, right? Yeah. This story is that, with everybody speaking the same language, it intensified shit getting done. Yeah. And they could do stuff that was hazardous.
I think they're very close to being able to translate language instantaneously in real time. Because they can do it right now with Samsung phones. They have the new Galaxy S24.
Animals are doing it worldwide.
Oh, for sure. They have some sort of a language. They have some sort of a communication. There's something going on with animals that's nonverbal. And with all of and with all of us. You know Tom Green? You know Tom Green, right?
Yes.
Tom Green was here, and he has a mule, and he said that you have like a connection with that animal where you want to go left, and you start like looking left, and that thing starts going left. He goes, it's really crazy. It's spooky. He goes, you develop it. It takes time. They have to earn your respect. But once you develop this like loving relationship with this animal, you're tuned into it like an avatar creature. Just like when they would lock on to their dragons, he's like, dude, it's like that.
I have that with women and with ducks and geese and Canadian geese and goats. Like I have, no, but understand, again, that's part of some religion's story, is that one of the gifts was the relationship between humans and the animal world. And it's something that all civilizations have been able to use, and it's stayed true, you know?
Yeah. It's amazing the relationship humans have with animals.
Yeah, whether it's a horse. No, there's no especially. Like, all of them. We abuse some of them. And it.
Well, just horses don't interact with people the same way a dog does. That's all I'm saying. It's like the interaction you have with dogs is almost like psychic. Like, the dogs are like your little friends, you know? They know when you're in a bad mood. They know when you hurt your foot. You know, they're happy to see you every fucking time, bar none.
I have that relationship with everybody that's, all animals and like special needs people. It's the innocence and the purity that you get. What it's not always good. But it's so.
We can learn from them.
No, we have learned.
Yeah, we should know it. But we're scared. People are scared of other people being shitty, and we put up like shields, and worry about.
Well, it's been proven
that's real
historically that
Yeah, it has.
Cain and Abel is a real story. That you know what I mean? Like people are so violent these days, and that's true. But people have been violent. Like there was this point where humankind learned that they could take a life and change things,
Well, especially take a life quickly, like when they figured out swords and bows and arrows and shit. What do you think the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is about? Because I was just reading that last night. Cleanliness? Yeah. That's what took them out? That, like, plague?
Okay.
Because
it's 69 times I've gotten canceled in this one conversation.
No, the stories of Sodom and Gomorrah, there's two speculations. Right. One of them was that God decided that they weren't hospitable enough. And the other one was God had decided that there was too much sin.
Wait a minute, that's not speculation, that's in the book. Right. That first one.
Right, but the respectability part, that they were not hospitable enough.
Yeah, that was a part of it.
That's part of it too. So God had just decided that I'm gonna fuck up this whole city.
No.
Right. What's the real story then?
Okay, so
turned it into pillars of salt. 2 cities, right? And he said, "Find me 50 good men, and I won't do this." And then I think he said, "Find me 10 good men."
Okay, so this story is generally used to say that God doesn't like homosexuals.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, so it tells several stories.
Whether it's getting colder outside, and you could keep doing the same old thing of putting on 17.
There had to be an explanation for what the story said happened to 2 cities of people, right?
Right. There had to be a reason to tell that story. Most likely.
To tell this story, it requires all of those people to really have been killed in those circumstances. And the historical evidence shows us that something like that happened. Like,
does your rain jacket still make you feel cold and damp? This bearskin waterproof soft-shell jacket.
Where Sodom and Gomorrah was?
Are you kidding? I know a guy who will pull that information up so fast.
Really?
Put it on the screen.
Young Jim? Like, is there speculation as
His
to what?
sidekick is awake now. It's just
Yeah.
punch him when Carl wakes up.
Carl breaks down.
Yeah.
Dirty waker.
Right.
As
we all would be if we were in charge of our schedules.
Yeah, probably. What do they think that it? Like, is there real speculation as to where it was? Where do they think it was?
It's not speculation. A lot of these places just changed names. Like, they used to be called this, and then they later were called something else. But
Iraq used to be Sumer.
right, like these are literal places that you can find on the real map. That was a part of that biblical rabbit hole I was telling you about. It's just seeing my only concern is, how do these ancient Islamic, Judaism, how do you say that? Those three that exist, that all religion is built on: Judeo, Christian, Islamic. That whole belief system of how that operates, right? So you see, they have question marks here, right? Only because they know that there were cities there.
So they have wreckage there, or
like, for example, if everybody in Gaza talks about going there, it exists. If everybody in Hebron has family members that live there, it exists. If everybody, we know that.
So they think that was right near the Dead Sea. Wow.
Well, they didn't think it any differently than they thought Talal Hamam, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Like, these were places, like, people throughout history, if you show any body of water, those are always hot spots. Water is its own commodity and currency at all points, and that was the Dead Sea. But that's everywhere.
Was the Dead Sea always the Dead Sea? Because, goddamn, there's so much interesting stuff that came from that part of the world. That's where they found the Dead Sea.
But a lot of the stuff that was supposed to be unbelievable was all based on something real. Like, right, how long was it the Dead Sea? Long before they knew what high salt content was.
Right.
Or they might have called it high salt content sea. But what they were trying to say is, stuff's not growing here. Okay? Don't come here as a fishing spot. Right?
But it's a good spot to gather salt, which at that point in time was as valuable as anything on earth. Salt, they'd go to war for salt. Salt allowed people to preserve their food. Salt was insanely valuable.
Understand the whole portions of, because at the end of the day, for all people, it comes down to quality of life. So the jump that was made between people eating food that you had to kill yourself catching just so that you could put it over something hot so that you could get it where you could eat it, and eating it like you, that experience to seasoning your food and, having order from the best place, because
eating too much spaghetti so you get fat.
Right. That's part of the greatness of human experience, and has been that part of being a king, or being royalty through all civilizations, was being able to experience the best culinary things. Because if you believe in God, that's one of the attributes that makes you believe in Him. Because every vegetable, let's say, that you would have, when it gets to the point where it would spoil and it would be useless and you'd have to throw it away, it becomes worth more money.
Because it's compost.
So,
What do you mean?
like if you have potatoes, right? And so you have potatoes, but now you got too many potatoes. You can get vodka from that. And if you have too much rice, you could get sake from that. And if you got too much wheat and barley, you can get. And everything that you could have too much of, we got too many grapes, you get wine with that. That's why alcohol is called spirits, because it's literally a gift from God. Just something that's just for your milk. Once it's going bad, that's where cheese comes in. Like whatever it is you would be having as a commodity. Grapes to raisins, wherever, like, this is why I believe math. Because of the certain things that are just done for the enjoyment.
So you think there's a reason why all these things exist, why like rotting fruit can become alcohol, alcohol can put you in a different state of mind. All of it is connected together so that you discover it and figure it out.
Unless you can figure out the benefit that a mushroom gets for being hallucinogen. Or the frog, that's the special ones do. What the special benefit did that frog get from that?
Right. Why is the frog making DMT?
Is he living a better life as a frog? Does he live under the effects residually of
constantly carrying around DMT? Right. Well, they secrete it when they're scared, right? Isn't that the whole idea? That you take them and you rub them on a windshield.
It's weaponized from the beginning.
Yeah. Right. They're scared because they think they're going to die, so their body's producing it.
Well,
just like ours.
The inventor of perfumes and colognes was whoever saw a skunk in action first. Because, that's when someone was able to see how powerful smell is, even from a distance. And that the aerosol, like, you know what I mean? Like, we've learned so much from that world. That's how we know. Like, we were able to look at animals and insects and understand that we would be able to do the helicopter after we got past Orville and Wilbur in Dayton, Ohio. You know what I mean? Like, we understood because we had seen the hummingbird. You know what I mean? Like, we had seen how things work.
Have you ever seen those Egyptian gliders? They found these gliders, these wooden things that they carved that look like fucking planes. And they were in some of the tombs that they had found. Thousands of years old. Looks like a fucking airplane. I mean, straight up looks exactly like an airplane.
Is saying that these are things talked about there. Like, even if you're just following Jesus, right? Okay, so you believe that he was perfect and that this was how he grew up and got it. When it comes to him going to get information, he went to this specific place that we're talking about to get information and to get taught. And that's not a hidden fact. Like, it's been that way. So, you can't be reading all of these stories and not see how everything lines up.
It does kind of line up in a strange way. You try to decipher it from all the different cultures. They all have their different versions of it. But at the end of it, there's a lot of similarities. If you follow the stories, like what are they saying? Right? All of them have some sort of creation.
Well,
isn't that odd though that a creature, if you think of human beings as a creature, that a human being that's never created a being itself has this idea that a magical force that is all knowing and all loving created, not they evolved, not they came from this and they learned, they got better, but that they were created. And that seems like a universal story, the created story.
That's only because the duck that's outside of my house right now believes that. So the duck is sitting on 6 eggs on a nest right by the house, right by a 250-pound dog, alibi, and believes that it has life that it's sitting on, and it's gonna come from that, and that there's somebody there that looks out for them and makes sure they're fed. And in the Bible story, it says the sparrows said, like Jesus said, who feeds the sparrows? Like worldwide, there's how many birds? Like billions and billions and billions of birds. Like who's feeding them every day? Like real talk. Right. Yeah, because what you're looking for is you need to find a mistake. That's how we would know maybe there's no creator. But we don't go through our regular life seeing things and thinking nobody created it. Like that would be as weird as us being in this room going, nobody made those